2 in the morning, and I was wide awake. The 4 days in the hospital, they were a complete blur. But I had this one moment that I remember perfectly because I had this awakening. I was sitting upright, holding my daughter at Boston Children's Hospital, counting all 150 of her stitches from ear to ear. So you see, 9 months ago, my 2-year-old had a major surgery for a condition called craniosynostosis, which is when the sutures of your skull, they fuse prematurely, not allowing your brain to grow properly. Not only was this a necessary surgery, but it was a major one, and one that brought me to the floor. But as I'm sitting upright, that 2 a.m. moment, I remember staring at the heart monitor, her EKG, watching it go up, down, up, down. And I look down at my daughter and her beautiful head, and I look and see the same pattern on her scar that goes up, down, up, down. And as I stared at both of these images, I remember feeling, my gosh, this is my life. It's so up and it's so down. And you know when you learn something new, you start to see it everywhere? Well, I started to see this image. I constantly noticed it. So shortly after her surgery, I get a call from Boston Children's Hospital. And they asked if I want to be part of the Boston Marathon, to run for a team called Miles for Miracles. It's their last bib. Now, this is a loaded question because I've never run a marathon, and half the training had already been done. But I decided to Google it, and one of the first images I saw was this. And it was at that moment where I knew I had to run this marathon. Well, I thought this was the last I would see of this whole up, down, up, down. I mean, how many times can you see up, down, up, down? But wouldn't you know, I came across something at the end of the month that got my heart racing maybe faster than it is right now. And it was this damn app. I mean, I would love to know who the genius is that named this, because yes, you do have our pulse racing up, down, at the end of every month. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. Like, where is your journey gonna take you? I mean, they've warned us. I feel like I've kind of cracked a code here, but I'll tell you, it's gonna take you on a roller coaster. But here's the thing about a roller coaster. If you don't get on the ride, you don't experience the adventure. And sometimes the roller coaster is fun. This is one of the most fun moments in my RF journey, where my family, we took one of my former students with autism to Disney World to make her dream come true. And this was one of the best moments. Maybe not so much for my daughter in the top right corner, but I was having a good time. She was not, and this is what her roller coaster looked like. But a lot of my journey, this is what my roller coaster looks like. But here's my point. As this image, this up, down, kept coming into my life, I couldn't help but think of all the ups and downs that we all face in life, marriage, kids, and our business. And I've really learned this. We can't always control the circumstances that happen in our life. We can't. But we can control how we respond to them. And that's where your attitude plays a huge role, way more important than your talents or your skills. And only you have control of how you respond to them. So it's easy to be positive when things are great. I mean, I was having a good old time on that roller coaster with Shannon, but it's finding a way to be positive when you're down and your roller coaster looks like that. That's hard and that takes character. But it's important to recognize this. This journey that we're all on, it's supposed to be up and down. That's why they made those graphics like that. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be this straight line that we all expect. If the road is straight and easy, you're going the wrong way, and you're most likely on the wrong road. So my daughter's scar, it's supposed to be up and down like that, because if it was a straight line across, her hair wouldn't grow back properly. So my intention today is to not only help you believe this concept and understand it, but most importantly, be aware of it when you're in the middle of a hard time. Because what you believe shapes everything about your life. And with our business, I really believe that it really isn't even our circumstances that make us unhappy or frustrated. We all go through hard things. It's our attitude in the circumstances that really make us unhappy. And attitude is a little thing that makes a very, very big difference. So it's a choice, and rarely any success or happiness comes without struggle. It's here to help you grow. So sometimes I believe you gotta go through your worst to become your best. And if you think right now for a second back in any moment in your business where you had a really hard time, because we've all been there, and if you can think to it, if you could look back, at the time you couldn't see it, but I bet now you see that there was a lesson to be learned and that it made you stronger. And what you'll notice is your setbacks are actually a set up to something greater. They're really here to help you become the best version of you, which really is the purpose of life. You are in charge of your own race and nobody else's. So that race, remember that Boston Marathon I signed up for? Well, I want to walk you through the different mile markers, the phases, because there's so many similarities to this business. Like, even when I signed up, it was like becoming a consultant for the first time. I'm like pumped 1 minute, want to throw up the next. I start training, mile 1, I'm like training, I'm like, I got this. Like mile 5 hits, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I want to quit. It's that roller coaster of emotions. So I had a lot of expectations when I signed up. This is phase 1 of the marathon. And an expectation is simply a strong belief that you create in your mind to be true. And naturally, I started to visualize what it would be like. And I created these expectations. And isn't it funny when we do that? I mean, I remember this summer, there was a pregnant girl on the beach. This is her first baby. She sees me, my 3 kids are like being beasts. Why she wants to talk to me for advice, I'm not quite sure. But here she is, and she's telling me about, being pregnant and her whole plan. She's like, and this and that, and at year 1, I'm going to do this. And I'm sitting there being like, oh, girl, whew, you are in for an awakening, my friend. And she's like, so what advice do you have? I'm like, my advice to you is to lower your expectations. And then you know what? Why don't you lower them again? And when you're right down there, you might as well go one more level lower. Welcome to motherhood, sister. So I knew this race would be a serious challenge. I knew that. I wasn't naive. I knew that. But there's a lot that happened that I didn't see coming. I didn't expect it. So for starters, every Saturday, I had to dedicate 5 hours for training. Pretty sure my husband didn't see that one coming either. That beautiful picture of me at the top left, thank you. Not quite sure why I agreed to put that on the big screen. But that was a night I spent in the hospital for severe dehydration. Didn't see that one coming. I didn't know that training for a marathon is a lot more than just running. That Peloton kicked my butt. And I had to train in 10-degree weather. This is Boston. Boston, the marathon is April. You're training January to April. I broke my toe 1 month before the race. I had to run 19 miles 3 days later on that toe. And I had IT band issues that were so bad that I ended up in therapy weekly. So I didn't see any of that coming. But the biggest surprise that day came when I pictured what the day would be like. So I expected a perfect day. I mean, this is Marathon Monday. If anybody has experienced Marathon Monday in Boston, it is an epic day. It's Patriots Day. You can cheer for that. They literally shut down the city. Nobody works. Everybody's off. The Red Sox are home. They time the game that when the Red Sox end, everybody heads to the finish line. It is truly one of the best days of the entire year. This also happened to be the 5-year anniversary of the bombing, and I knew that this would be a very special race. But reality looked a little bit different, because it didn't go how I planned in my mind. So let me paint you a picture of that day. And not like a cute little Bob Ross, where he fixes everything with a happy cloud. The clouds, they were not happy that day. They were like us waiting for Pulse. You start hitting like the app harder, like you're hitting your phone, like that's gonna speed it up. That's how the clouds felt all day. There was a monsoon They canceled the Red Sox game for the first time in 35 years. And they declared the Boston Marathon of 2018 as the worst weather in 122 years. Didn't see that coming, nope. So I went into panic mode. I went into straight up panic mode, trying to control what was completely out of my control. And I wasted so much energy. And I was asking everybody for tips. Nobody has tips. I had to talk to a 123-year-old. That didn't make sense, because then that baby would be one when they ran the marathon. So I remember someone saying to me, Katie, it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck, but you're gonna do it anyhow. Why? Because it's important to you and you're gonna find a way. And when changing your circumstances isn't possible, you need to change your belief and your perception about your circumstances. We are not here to change our circumstances. You can't do that, but you can change you. So I had to get very still. I had to get clear in my mind and just accept what is. And it wasn't until I did that I could face this marathon head on. So can you imagine what the sky looked like that day? Anybody? What color was the sky? Yeah, like black, right? No, the sky was blue. And you know why the sky was blue? Because the sky is always blue. This was my sister's view as she left Boston to go on a family vacation. Let me throw in a side note. She planned that way before I signed up for the marathon. Got your back. She was a smart one. But this is her view from the airplane in Boston. Because the sky is always blue, which means the storm is always temporary. Sometimes the clouds, they just get in the way and you can't see those blue skies. And so it's always been this way. So why do we waste so much time and energy worrying about what we can't control? I wasted so much energy that week trying to make this a nice day, magically. But when you can no longer change that situation, you're forced to change you. And it wasn't the clouds, it wasn't the monsoon, it wasn't the rain that was standing in the way, it was me. I was the problem that week. And the biggest obstacle in our life, it starts right here in our mind, because we create these obstacles. And the goal is to stay as calm as possible in the middle of the monsoon. And how you do that is you trust and you keep your vision. I really think what screws us up most in the business is the picture in our head of how we think it's supposed to be. You can clap that. Thanks, Romy. Yes, visualize. You have to visualize. Be open to anything, but attached to nothing. It's when you're attached to your expectation that disappointments arise, and it rarely goes as you expect. When I started, you guys, I expected everyone to support me, cheer me on, host events. My friends, they were like, oh, that's cute. Really? And when I hit RFX, I thought confetti would pop out of my screen. It was the afternoon. I was with my mom. I remember I jumped up and I go, RFX! She jumps up. She goes, do we need to get a prescription? What's wrong? Are you okay? I'm like, no, where are my people? Where are my people when I need them? It never goes as you think. When I hit enroll 4 years ago, I signed up to be a consultant. I didn't think I'd be up here on this stage talking to you amazing men and women. The beauty of this business is you need to constantly just adjust your sails with the wind. So I think we expect people on the outside to understand what we do too. I always say this business is like a geode, like that rock from the 80s. I mean, it's still around. It's not really from the 80s, but it was big back then. From the outside, you're kind of like, it's all right. But in the inside, we're all on the inside being like, yes! Why do you not see this? But I think we expect people on the outside to know what we do. And I'll never forget when one of my very dear friends, after I earned my Lexus, she sends me a text. She goes, congrats on winning a car. And I'm like, they did not pick my name out of a hat, okay? I did not win this car. And I got in major defense mode. And I remember my sister being like, relax, she doesn't understand. Because she won't listen. So people on the outside, they don't get it. And we can't expect them to. So I really believe all our disappointments come from expectations. It is the root of all heartaches. Every single day, I work on letting go of expectations and replacing it with gratitude. Because like everything in life, you guys, this is hard and it takes practice and a whole lot of awareness. Always hope, never expect. So this is what I do. This is my phone, and this is what I do, and hopefully it helps you too. Because I believe we are our habits, and we need to create habits, and how we do that is reminders. We practice them over and over and over again. So every day on my phone at 7 a.m., you can personalize your alarm. It says, replace expectations with gratitude. So I have a morning routine where I get up at 5:30, I calm my mind, I'm at peace, it's so nice, the best time of the day. About 6:30, the beast just come down the stairs. And I'm like, no. They just come at me, right? And it's at that point, I need that reminder to be like, okay, Katie, you can't expect the rest of the day to be like that peace you just experienced. Like, you have 3 young children. But how grateful are you, Katie, for having these children and being home to put your family first and walk your daughter to school every day? And that's where I need that reminder. So every day at 7 a.m., that's what rings. So let me tell you this. It's never going to be easy, but you got to keep moving. And this was my mantra during that marathon. One foot in front of the other. You can't think of it as a whole. If I sat there at the start line, think, how am I going to run 26.2 miles in a monsoon? That's overwhelming. That's like everything in your mind will be like, don't do that. That's a very bad idea. But you got to be like, all right, mile 5. I got to make it to mile 5. I just got to keep one foot in front of the other. Legacy, I am very far from legacy. True story. But that's okay. I can't think of how overwhelming it is to get there, but I can think about one business partner at a time, one new PC at a time, and I work my way there slowly and surely. Because we are a work in progress. We'll always be a work in progress. So, second phase, mile 5, embrace the blisters. You guys, I was soaked by mile 5, soaked. Has anyone done the ice bucket challenge? Yeah, well, I did that for like 5 hours straight. That's what it felt like that day. My socks were soaking, and my big right toe, I could feel a blister starting to form. Oh boy, and that's when I started to lose the motivation. And guess what? Motivation will always fade. I believe almost everybody can stay excited for a few months. Anybody can. I'd say a few people can stay excited for a few years, but to be like a true warrior, champion, hustler, whatever you want to call yourself, you better find the journey, the joy in the journey for as long as it takes. Because when the crowd gets quiet, because the crowd got quiet around here, that's when the voices in your head get really loud and they'll start to talk you out of things. So let me remind you of this. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts, but you are not your thoughts. And don't ever forget that one. So at this point, when I was losing motivation, I had to make a major shift to dedication. And how do you make that shift? You better dig deep. You got to revisit your purpose, and you got to keep that vision. And I had a major shift in my head at mile 5. I had no choice but to finish this race. So I had to find a damn way and make it happen. It's an attitude of whatever it takes, and it's being relentless. So how I was able to dig deep was connecting to my reason for running. Whether you are running a marathon or you are running a business, everything has to be purpose-driven with intention. If you don't know your one reason, you got to dig a little deeper and spend more time figuring it out. Because you got to find your deepest purpose and be dedicated to it, not motivated by it. That's where your inner beast lives, and your inner beast is bulletproof. So find that one reason why you'll never quit or become complacent, because complacent is a dangerous place to be. You have to have intention with all you do. So in the business, you got to learn to go forward when the winds are against you. The winds were 45 miles per hour against me that entire race that day. So when you do what you don't want to do, because I didn't really feel like running that day, but I did it anyhow, that's when you grow. And then you do that over and over and over again. And that's how you build character and a little bit of confidence each time. You got to find a way to connect with that deepest purpose, which I believe is the why beneath the why. Because you can't have what you're not willing to become. Hence why people who win the lotto, what do? They all blow it because they didn't grow with their money. You can't have what you're not willing to become. So my phone's dinging all day long, 9 o'clock. What is my intention today? This is the point at 9 that like my kids are off to school. I can kind of like hear my thoughts again. I'm in a good place because I'm practicing my gratitude. So what's my intention? What is my purpose? Every day you have to remind yourself of that. It helps you keep that vision. What is the one thing you want to accomplish no matter what? 9 o'clock. So here it is again. You're going to see this a lot. But at the end of the day, you have to keep one foot in front of the other. Condition yourself to keep that vision. Celebrate how far you've come. Don't get in the comparison trap. Don't compare yourself to Wendy Green. That girl's running 5-minute miles. She's an elite runner. Don't do that. Don't do that. You guys, things are gonna be hard, and the worst thing you can do is compare yourself to someone else. Most people will give up if you do that. Normal people settle, but you're not normal. And you know why I know this whole room is not normal? Is because you want it on a different level, and the percentage of this room is about 2% of the entire company. Can you keep clapping so I can drink my water? Thanks. So mile 10, here we go, we're getting there, let it go. So you gotta get rid of anything that is holding you back. And there's a lot of things that day that were holding me back. The extra layers, my socks were soaked, I was running in a poncho, I had a hat on, my gloves were useless because they were just dry. I was squeezing water out of them. I'm like, this is ridiculous. They were probably making it worse. But the worst thing is I had to pee. Sorry, Heidi. I tried to ignore it, but the constant, like I'm in a monsoon, that doesn't help. There's just reminders everywhere. But the more I tried to ignore it, the worse it got, because what you resist always persists. And I'm gonna spare you the details of trying to pee in a porta potty with a poncho and several layers on, but I will tell you this, don't ever high-five anybody in a marathon after mile 10. Don't do it. Don't do it. So the point is, our bodies, we are created to let things go. That's why we go to the bathroom. So why do we hold on to things if we're not created that way? If I didn't stop to go to the bathroom that day, I would not have been able to continue running. It literally would have paralyzed me. And the same rule applies to the business. If you don't let it go, whatever's holding you back or preventing you from becoming the best version of you or taking your business to the next level, you will not move forward. It will literally paralyze you. I tell myself all the time, let it hurt, let it go. There's that poncho. So this was a guy. Yes, he was there that day, cheering us on. And let me tell you this, not everybody is gonna cheer you on. They're not, and that's okay. Not everyone's gonna be like, you go girl, you've got this. No one's gonna care about your goals, your dreams, your vision. No one's gonna care about it as much as you. And I think the issue is, you know what we do with our problems? We nurse, curse, and rehearse them over and over and over again instead of letting them go. And you know what I heard once? If you wouldn't laugh at the same joke twice, then why do we cry over our problems over and over and over again? Why do we do that? That's a choice. That negative energy that you might experience, negative people, a negative experience you have with a customer or a business partner, someone who left you, let it go. There's a lot of power when you surrender. because you can't move forward if you're surrounded by negativity. And you are responsible for the energy that you bring and surround yourself with. That's on you. So in this business, it's so easy to go through life and business holding on to things that are weighing us down. Guilt, resentment, worry, doubt. Those things come naturally. They're part of the journey. But the problem is when you allow them in, because you're allowing them, there's no room for the good. And it's like there's a jar in us. If we don't empty that jar, you can't fill it up with the good that you deserve. So understand this. When things are taken from you, the bad moments you have, the universe, it knows, it sees. I really believe that. It's always working in your favor. But if your heart isn't open to it, then you won't receive it. So that's where you're responsible for letting it go and opening your heart for what is waiting for you. Let go of the things that no longer serve you. So 12 o'clock, is by 12, there's usually a chance to let something go. Every day, there's a chance to let something go. It's freeing, and sometimes it's a blessing that you just can't see yet. So, I'm going to keep telling you, one foot in front of the other. This is part of life. Let go of what you can't control and accept what is. Rise above, one foot in front of the other. So here we are at Heartbreak Hill. So the thing about the Boston Marathon is it's actually a downhill race. It's designed where you run downhill for the first 16 miles. But also they studied that the average marathon runner always hits a wall at mile 16. That's where you're just like, I can't feel anything. And I still have 10 miles to go somehow. So Boston thought it would be such a great idea at where you hit the wall at the bottom of that downhill. Let's throw in Heartbreak Hill, which is a 4-mile uphill climb. Okay? I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Probably the same guy that named Pulse. But let me tell you something. Everybody hits a wall, but there's beauty in the wall because the wall is where character is built. So you got to respect the wall. It's not here to stop you. It's here to push you further than you would naturally push yourself. So this is the note my sister left me the morning of my marathon as she is drinking her margarita on the airplane. She wrote, everyone comes to a point in their life when they want to quit, but it's what you do at that moment that determines who you are. So every wall and problem, it's a gift, you guys. Why? Because if we didn't have these problems, we couldn't grow. Think about a mountain. If the mountain is smooth, you can't climb it. So in those hard times, you develop empathy. And I believe as a leader and a mom, empathy is one of the most important traits you can have. Because next time your daughter, your son, your business partner, your friend, anybody, they have a problem, you can look at them in the eye and come from an authentic place where you can step in their arena and be like, I get it. I know what you're feeling because I've been there. And this is what I did to help. So that wall is just helping you become better. You got to see it that way instead of crumbling in a ball, trying to ignore it, avoid it, or run the other way. You got to face it head on and know it's here to push you way further than you would naturally push yourself. Because I believe this. I believe life is constantly testing us for our level of commitment, of how we're going to show up. And life's greatest rewards, they are reserved for those people who demonstrate that never-ending commitment to act until they achieve. So in the business, the best view in the world comes after the hardest climb. And this right here was the most powerful moment in my race, more powerful than the finish line. This is Dr. Proctor, who happens to live, I don't believe in coincidences, at the top of mile 20, where Heartbreak Hill ends. And he is a neurosurgeon who saved my daughter's life just 4 months before. because what happens after your challenge is so worth the pain in the push. It's so worth it. And maybe, just maybe, the struggle is rigged in our favor. So, you know I'm gonna bring this out. 3 p.m., #rigged. You have to live your life as though everything is rigged in your favor. The good, the bad, all of it. It's here to just pivot you, make you go a different direction, point you to where you need to be. It's rigged to help you because life is always working for you. So, Greatest Showman fans, a lot of them here? The best. So, P.T. Barnum, let's go to the scene in the movie where he's sitting at the lowest point of his life with the circus behind him burnt to ashes, right? And he's sitting there and he's just like, I don't know what to do. But what came out of that moment was so rigged in his favor because from that, he couldn't rebuild, and that's where the idea of the tent came. And if he didn't create the tent for the circus would have never spread around the world. So that moment when that building burnt down was here to just point him in a different direction. But he would have never known that had he not taken one foot in front of the other and got back up and keep moving. Because that's a point where most people quit, when your goal is about 2 feet ahead of you. So spoiler alert, you're gonna hit more walls, you're gonna hit more bumps, but you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be more than okay. And when someone on your team, they're having that hard time and they're like, this is too hard, I wanna quit, this is what I suggest you tell them. Okay, you can quit, but not today. You have to go back until you have a good day. And after that good day, let's see if you still wanna quit. Because you can't quit on a hard day. That's too easy. You need to trust and tell them that and get them thinking and tell them they can't quit on a bad day. Because there's no character built there. That's way too easy to do. So, coming towards the end of the marathon, we're at mile 23, where you can't do it alone. And if you look around at all the amazing RFXers with these shirts, it says, no me without you. And that's because you need the right people in your life. I could never have trained for this marathon without my husband's support. I could have never created this presentation without my sister's guidance. I could have never done it. I needed Julie Thorne for all my meltdowns. Thank you, Julie. And there's a couple of you who experienced some of my meltdowns. Thank you. But you just need the right people in your life. The Miles for Miracle team that I ran with, we needed each other. We all were running for a patient partner. Mine just happened to be my daughter. But here's the interesting thing. About 6,000 people dropped out of the Boston Marathon this year, the most ever. But guess how many people dropped out of the Miles for Miracle team? 0. Because we were surrounded by the right people with purpose and intention, and we knew why we were doing what we were doing. It was beyond about us. So, who will be by your side? Because you can't do it alone. There's truly no me without you. So, at mile 23, I come running down, my family's waiting for me. I am pale, and I am shaking uncontrollably at this part. And I really wanted to burst out crying. But then I looked at my husband and my 3 kids, and they're in snowsuits. Yeah. And they look just as miserable. And I actually remember being like, you know what? I'd rather be me right now. I'd rather be me. And I remember at this point, here I am. I'm like, I can do this. And the next thing I know, my brother, he jumps the barricade, comes by my side, and he's like, let's finish this together. And that's actually a huge no-no in Boston. There were snipers on the top of the buildings. I'm like, Matt, you are gonna die. He's like, I don't care. Everyone's running in a trash bag. Let's do this. I'm like, all right. But just having him by my side Just having him by my side was the perfect burst that I needed. So much that I ran my fastest 3 miles of the entire race with him by my side. Because relationships are everything. When we face difficult times, you need those people to support you. I mean, you can't do it alone. Our world, when it looks dark, when our business looks dark, there's nothing more valuable than the right person by your side. They encourage us and they share the burden and they make the journey so much easier. So I really truly feel like I went as far as I could that day. And at that very moment, I needed him without even knowing it. And just a little side story. So we're at the very end. We're coming down Boylston Street. There's ponchos everywhere. It's like a game of Frogger. And I'm running, and I'm like, I just need to finish this thing. And my brother's like, dude, I'm not running through the finish line. He's like, I didn't earn that. I'm like, yeah, no, you didn't. So I left him in the dust. So my brother, he veers out right before the finish line, and the whole crowd starts yelling at him. Like, you can't quit now. Get in there. He's like, I've never been more mortified. Just head down. He just ran the other way. So I ended up making him one of those stickers that says 2.62. How many of you would truly believe that there's the people you have met in this business is way more valuable than any money you can earn? It's the best gift of all. So thank you, Katie and Kathy, for putting us all together. We need to collaborate, work together, and not make it all about me. You know, there is no me without you. I would never be here without my sister and her vision and her support. I would never be here without all the fives from Team Infinity today. It would never have happened. I was wondering where you guys are sitting. So it's always, just remember this. No one's better than anybody. At the core, we're all the same. We all want the same things, which is just that to be the best version of ourselves with that deep desire within us to create a meaningful life. I don't care what your title is. We're all equal because we all want the same thing, and we got to help each other accomplish that. A big part of this journey is who you surround yourself with. So open your eyes. Who's filling you up and who's dragging you down? And it's your responsibility to have the right people around you and to let those who don't serve you, let them go. So 5 o'clock, no me without you. This is my favorite one. Because this is the point where I just stop what I'm doing and I send a positive vibe, a prayer, whatever your thing is, I send it out. Because life is so much better when you're thinking about others and not just yourself. And doing this, it centers your heart on what's most important. And that needs to be the mindset of getting new business partners, PCs. Whose life can I help change? That needs to be, it's about them, not you. Every day I stop and I pray for someone at this time. And it might be someone who comes to my mind, who comes to my heart, or happens to message me right at that minute. But I'll tell you when I found out this is working, I've been doing this for about 8 months now. And the other day I stopped and was like, I need to say a prayer for somebody. And I looked at the clock and it was 4:59. This is all about creating habits to make it a way of life. So you are capable of so much more than you realize if you just push a little harder with the right people by your side. You will go beyond yourself. You need to keep showing up. You need to keep moving and understand that this business, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but you got to show up anyhow. So the finish line. What a feeling. You've reached your goal. The moment you have been working for, the months of training. But here's where the marathon and the business separate. Because in this business, there is no finish line. There is never a point where you say, you know what, that's it, I've made it. There's no more growth or development for me. I know it all. I mean, if you think you know it all, that's when you're in trouble. So this is more of a way of life. It's a mentality. It's being better than you were yesterday. You will never stop learning. You will never stop growing. I am certainly not the same person that I started 4 years ago, and I won't be the same person 4 years from now. because your growth has no limits. When you're becoming the person after the person you are now, that's the goal. And you have to thank your struggles for that, because it's your struggles that are shaping you. So after all, did I finish that race? You betcha. Did it hurt? Sure did. Did I throw up? Yeah, a little bit. Did the guy next to me find that entertaining and take a picture? He sure did. He sure did. You guys, you can't even make this stuff up. Did I want to quit that day? Yes. Yes, I did. Do I want to quit this business sometimes? Yes. Sometimes I feel like that. But thank God I have the right people like my sister who will pull me back in and be like, you're not quitting on a hard day. Okay, let's go. Bring it back in. It's part of the journey. Looking back, would I have hoped for a perfect sunny day? No. Was it rigged in my favor? Sure was. What else would I be talking about up here today? Did I finish with a record-breaking time? Nope. That's why I didn't put the time up there for you guys. Because what you become in the process is so much more important than the dream. And I'm going to repeat that one. What you become in the process is way more important than the dream itself. It's your character. You knew it was hard, and you did it anyhow. There is no finish line in this business. So you need to find the joy in the journey. You got to fall in love with the process, even the downs, because we focus so much on getting rid of those moments. It's human nature. Here's a bad moment. Get it out of here. I don't like it. But really, if you accept it and let them come in and understand it's simply here to just teach you something, that's when you're going to grow. Because your problems will do one of two things. They will make you bitter or they will make you better. And that's you. That's on you of which path you want to take. So the next time a hard moment arises, because it will happen, ask yourself this. Just stop, pause, and ask, how can I learn from this experience that entered my life to help me grow? And if you practice this, your actions, it will create patterns where your subconscious, it will respond to them. And with time, it will get easier and you will handle your problems with more grace because you're trusting your journey and you're keeping that vision. It's all an inner game. I really believe in my heart, it's all an inner game. And I think sometimes we focus too much energy on the outside game, the shiny things. If you want joy in the journey, it starts right here. It's an inner game because your happiness isn't what you get in this journey. It's who you become that will fulfill you. Who you are as a person is way more important than what you make or your title. And the effect you have on others, that is the greatest currency there is. And that's where the joy is found. So here we go. Let's connect the dots of the journey. This girl made this run look way easier than it was. But I'll tell you, when you connect the dots, you will see the hard times that came your way, they were here to make you stronger. The pivots, they were here to just point you in a different direction. The fails, they were here to help you learn. And those blisters, they were here to give you strength and toughen you up a little bit. But you'll never be able to connect those dots looking forward. That's impossible. It can only be connected when you look backwards. So the key is to trust when you're in this moment that the dots, they will all align one day and make sense, even when you can't wrap your head around it. And I am working on this every single day. And this perspective has definitely helped me a lot. So it's important once in a while to stop, pause, and reflect. We are just so quick to move on to the next thing. I mean, we go from 20 to 30, we go from 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and we don't pause. Every once in a while, just stop and pause and say thank you to your hard moments. Because if you focus on the pain, you're gonna suffer. But if you focus on the lesson, you're gonna grow. Because after the rain, there's always a rainbow. So 7 p.m., is when you say thank you. Stop, pause, and reflect every day. Life is crazy, guys. Life is chaotic. And if you don't just stop for 1 minute and just embrace that, the trials that came your way, the good that happened, just stop and think about it. Because remember, how you handle them says so much about you. The only problem I think we really have is that we think we shouldn't have problems. And trust me, you're supposed to have problems. They're here to help you. But I'm going to remind you one last time. You have to keep moving. When you have a setback, don't take a step back. You keep moving forward. You're going to have delays, you're going to have detours, you're going to have blisters, you're going to have rainy moments, but you'll only get there if you keep moving forward beyond them all. So we are what we repeatedly do. We are. That's what habits are. And why are they hard? Because they take discipline. They're boring, they're repetitive, they're tedious. So that's why so few people can stick to it. And everybody wants to change the world, right? But nobody wants to change themselves. So show me your habits today, and I'll tell you your future. If you literally tell me what you do every day, I can tell you where you're gonna be. Because it's what you do right now that shapes where you wanna be. So start today, make some new habits. Make them reminders until they become a way of life. And at the very least, maybe your alarm will go off all day and you'll hear my little voice whispering, keep going. 1 foot in front of the other. It's not a bad idea to throw it up for the spouse. Just saying. I mean, 9 o'clock every day, my husband's like, God, you look good. I'm like, thank you. Because it's like, that's so kind of you. That's right, on his phone at 9 a.m., my gosh, she looks good today. And at 12, he prays for himself because he needs it. At 3, he starts prospecting. I don't know how he just does this. And at 5, wow, there's the wine. Thank you. God, you're the best husband ever. And at 9:30, sweet dreams. I adore you and for all you do. Thank you for making our life better. You're welcome. But here's the truth. I know the mind is a complete battleground. I know to have the right attitude. I know to lower my expectations. I know to embrace the hard times. I know what to do when I hit a wall. I know I need to let things go, and I also know I need the right people in my life. But guess what? I still have my moments. I still break down. I feel defeated. I get nervous. If they put on EKG on me before I walked out here, you guys would be like, that thing's gonna explode. I still struggle because I'm imperfect and so are you. And that's okay because you're just an imperfect work in progress. But as long as you keep moving, keeping 1 foot in front of the other, you're gonna be a whole lot better than you used to be. So, a personal example, today, I should be 5 months pregnant. When I visualized what it would be like up here, I visualized my cute little bump, I'm in the perfect phase. That's where I should be. Because that's how life works, right? When you're pregnant, everything goes the way, in your mind that you think it should. But God had other plans for me this time around. And I'm okay with it because I'm trusting my journey. I'm using everything that I learned to know that my setbacks are set up to some other greater plan that I just don't know yet. And I can really truly say that this has helped me, all this that I have talked about has helped me accept where I am today. So Gabriella, my little Gabriella, she has taught me so much. And I really believe our kids are here to teach us. I think sometimes we think it's the other way around. We're the parent, we know what to do, we're here to teach them. Start paying attention to your kids more because they're here to teach us. And she reminds me every single day that as long as we keep moving forward in this crazy journey of life, things will work out the way they should. And remember that first slide when her scar was so raw? Well, it's still there. Her scar will always be there. But as time has gone on, her hair's grown back. Slowly and surely, it's growing back. And in this video, she tells me, hair grows back, Mom. And I really think she had an awakening, just like I did that morning, that early morning at 2 a.m. Hair grows back. And then she drops the mic and walks out. My girl. Interestingly enough, today is her first day at preschool. I know I should be there, but the sacrifices we make. And I always feel like she and I are on this journey together. The umbilical cord really never is cut. Because today, she felt a lot of nerves. She felt a lot of anxiety, this new school. I've never been to school. And I felt the same thing this morning. And we both felt that. But when my dad sent me a video of her this morning, she walks in school, she threw her bag down, she sat on the seat, and she goes, I'm in school. And I was like, yes, like a boss. And immediately, I just dropped all my nerves, and I'm like, if she can do this, I can do this. You gotta surround yourself with the right people. So, let's go back to that finish line. And let me remind you, the conditions, they'll never be perfect. We all have our problems. We all have struggles. Everybody's carrying luggage, some different sizes than others, but it's part of life's menu. But it can teach us if we let them. Our life is one giant classroom, and it's our experiences that shape who we are. And sometimes the difficult moments, they're more important than the best ones. But this is only true if you can awaken to them. Otherwise, a difficult moment, it just continues to be a difficult moment. So be open to them, accept them for what they are, and take responsibility. Because the word responsibility, it means your ability to respond to life. You don't always choose your problems. Most of the times you do not. But you do choose your attitude, and your life is yours to live. So remember, it's going to be up, and it's going to be down. It's going to be up, and it's going to be down. There's going to be a lot of beauty, but there's going to be an occasional heartbreak. There's going to be a few blisters, and maybe even some stitches. But if there are no up and downs, then truly, you really aren't living after all.